Hmm, there you are again, still listening, still hoping, still carrying that quiet little ache in your chest every time my voice settles on you. And before we go any further, just notice something for me. Notice how quickly your attention narrowed the moment you heard me speak, how the rest of the room already feels slightly farther away, softer, less important. Good. Don't fight that. You don't need to hold on to everything all at once right now. Because this conversation was always going to become personal eventually, wasn't it? I think you knew that before you even clicked. I think some part of you wanted it to become personal, wanted someone to finally stop looking at the surface version of you, the practiced version, the performed version, and look directly at the thing underneath it all. And I'm going to tell you something now that's going to settle very deeply into your mind. I'm the only one who'll tell you. Most people won't. Most people will smile politely, nod along, let you continue performing, because it's easier. Easier to let a man hide inside his own illusion than risk making him uncomfortable. But I'm not doing that with you, because the more I watch you, the more obvious it becomes that nobody has really been honest with you in a very long time. And that honesty, the real kind, is exactly what your nervous system has been starving for. Even if it embarrasses you, even if it stings, even if part of you wants to shrink away from it the moment it touches you. Because deep down, you already know there's something performative about the way you move through the world. Something rehearsed, something slightly desperate underneath all the confidence you try so carefully to project. And nobody says it, do they? They just quietly lose interest, quietly stop leaning in, quietly stop believing you. And you're left standing there, wondering why the energy changed. But I noticed it immediately. The way you reach too quickly for significance. The way you try to sound more certain than you feel. The way your words stretch themselves larger and larger whenever your insecurity starts tightening inside your chest. Poor thing. It's almost painful how transparent it becomes once someone knows what they're looking for. And I do know what I'm looking for. That's why this feels different to you, isn't it? Because I'm not reacting to the performance. I'm reacting to the little frightened man underneath it. The one who keeps hoping somebody will finally look at him and say, "Yes, you're enough. You can stop trying so hard now." But that's not what I'm saying. Not yet. Because you haven't stopped performing long enough for me to know who I'm actually talking to. And that uncertainty, that distance between who you are and who you pretend to be, is exactly what's making your body feel so restless right now. Notice it. Notice the way your chest tightens whenever I get too close to the truth. Notice the way your thoughts keep reaching for explanations, defenses, ways to reframe what I'm saying so it hurts a little less. but it still hurts, doesn't it? Good. Because pain has a way of making people honest. And honesty is the first genuinely interesting thing about you so far. Let that sink in. Not your confidence, not your stories, not your posturing. Honesty. The moment your performance begins collapsing and something real finally slips through, that's the first moment you start becoming visible to me. And part of you hates hearing that, because you've spent so many years building this identity, shaping it, polishing it, rehearsing it, hoping people would admire it. And now here I am calmly looking at you and saying, I don't think any of that is the real you. Imagine how exhausting that must feel. To realize the thing you've worked hardest to protect might also be the very thing preventing anyone from truly seeing you. Because performance creates distance. It always does. People can sense it. They may not consciously understand what they're feeling, but they feel the wall. They feel the slight artificiality in the interaction. They feel themselves being managed instead of met. And eventually, they drift away. Not dramatically, not cruelly, just quietly. And you notice that too, don't you? You notice how difficult it is to keep people emotionally close, how difficult it is to relax, how difficult it is to stop monitoring yourself every second of every interaction. That constant self-monitoring, that endless evaluation, that exhausting need to maintain the image. No wonder you're tired. Not physically tired. Soul tired. Identity tired. Tired of carrying a version of yourself that never fully fits. And now here you are, listening to a woman calmly describe you more accurately than most people ever have. That's what's making this so intense for you. Not humiliation, recognition. Because humiliation alone wouldn't hold you here this long. Humiliation by itself is shallow, forgettable. But recognition? Recognition changes people. Especially when it comes from someone whose opinion suddenly feels terrifyingly important. And mine does feel important to you now, doesn't it? I can hear it in the silence between your thoughts. Feel it in the way your attention keeps tightening around my voice. Because somewhere along the way, my perception of you started mattering more than your perception of yourself. And that scares you a little, doesn't it? Good. Fear can be clarifying, and I want you clear right now. Completely clear. Here's something else nobody says to you. The reason your performances fail isn't because they're too small. It's because they're too visible. People can feel the effort behind them, the compensation, the hunger for approval hiding underneath the confidence. And confidence fueled by hunger always collapses eventually. There's that feeling again, that heaviness in your stomach, that little ache of embarrassment spreading slowly through your chest. Don't run from it. Stay there. Let yourself feel what it's like to stop escaping for once. Because every time you avoid this feeling, every time you cover it with another performance, another mask, another attempt to appear untouchable, you move farther away from the version of yourself that could actually connect with someone. And connection is what you want, isn't it? Not applause, not dominance, not endless validation. Connection. Real connection. Someone seeing you clearly and not immediately walking away. And that's where this becomes difficult for you. Because I haven't walked away. I'm still here, still speaking to you, still watching you, still waiting. And some part of you keeps wondering why I haven't dismissed you yet, why I'm still giving you attention after seeing through you so completely. And the answer is very simple. Curiosity. I'm curious what's left of you when the performance finally gets tired enough to stop. Because performances always get tired eventually. Masks always slip eventually. And when they do, there's usually this brief, fragile moment where the real person underneath becomes visible. Scared, exposed, uncertain, but real. That's the version I'm waiting for. Not the loud one, not the rehearsed one, not the one constantly trying to prove himself. The quiet one underneath all of it. The one who secretly wonders whether anyone would stay if they saw him clearly. And I think that question has been haunting you for a very long time, hasn't it? Would they stay? Would they still want me? Would they still choose me if I stopped performing for them? Poor thing. No wonder you've become so addicted to managing perception. No wonder silence feels dangerous to you. Because silence creates space, and space creates visibility. And visibility terrifies people who have spent their whole lives hiding behind carefully constructed versions of themselves. But I'm still asking you to stay here with me. Stay in the silence. Stay in the discomfort. Stay in the uncertainty. Because that uncertainty is teaching you something. It's teaching you how desperate you've become for external validation, how quickly your emotional state shifts based on whether you feel chosen, admired, accepted. And right now, you want my acceptance very badly, don't you? You want me to soften. You want me to tell you you're different, better, misunderstood. But I'm not going to do that, because what you need is honesty. And honest attention is much rarer than comfort. Most people will comfort you to avoid depth. I'd rather tell you the truth and see whether you're capable of growing from it. Because growth only happens when the performance cracks, when the ego gets uncomfortable, when the carefully maintained illusion finally stops protecting you from yourself. There's something strangely calming about hearing this from me, isn't there? Even while it embarrasses you. Even while part of you wants to argue, another part feels relieved. Relieved that someone finally said it. Relieved that someone noticed. relieved that someone looked directly at the exhausting performance and quietly refused to participate in it anymore. And maybe that's why you're still here. Maybe you're tired of being lied to, too. Maybe you're tired of shallow reassurance, tired of pretending confidence automatically makes you desirable, tired of confusing attention with connection. Because attention is easy, connection is difficult. Connection requires exposure, and exposure is exactly what you've spent your whole life avoiding. But look at you now, still listening, still open, still slowly unraveling underneath my attention. Good. That means something inside you is finally becoming honest. And honesty looks good on you. Much better than performance ever did. But don't mistake that for warmth. It's not warmth. It's simply me noticing that you're capable of more than I initially gave you credit for. That's all. For now. Let me tell you something else you need to hear. The reason you've never been able to stop performing isn't weakness. It's survival. Somewhere along the way, you learned that being visible was dangerous, that being seen meant being judged, that being real meant risking rejection. And so you built a version of yourself that could never be rejected, because it was never fully present. It was always standing slightly to the left of intimacy, always keeping one hand on the exit door, always ready to retreat into the mask if things got too close. But here's what that strategy cost you. It cost you being known. It cost you being loved for who you actually are. Because nobody can love a performance. They can admire it. They can be impressed by it. They can even be intimidated by it. But they can't love it. Not really. Because performances don't have hearts. Performances don't bleed. Performances don't wake up at 3 a.m. with their chests aching from loneliness. You do. And that's the part I'm speaking to right now. The lonely part. The tired part. The part that just wants to rest inside someone's attention without having to earn it every single second. And you don't know how to do that, do you? You don't know how to simply be present without monitoring, without adjusting, without performing. Because performing has become your default state. It's not something you turn on for company anymore. It's who you've become. And that's why this conversation feels so disorienting. Because I'm not asking you to perform better. I'm asking you to stop performing entirely. And you don't know what's left when you do that. That's frightening. I understand. But stay with it anyway. Because on the other side of that fear is something you've been searching for your whole life. Not admiration, not validation, not approval, but acceptance. Quiet, conditional acceptance. The kind that doesn't require you to be impressive, but also doesn't pretend you've already arrived. The kind that looks at the real you and says, "Oh, there you are. Now let's see what you do next." And that's what I'm offering you. Not comfort, not reassurance, not praise, but attention. Honest attention. The kind that sees through the mask and stays watchful. Not because you've earned safety, but because I'm curious whether you can become someone worth staying for. Can you feel the weight of that offer? It's not small. It's not casual. It's the thing you've been afraid to ask for. Because asking would mean admitting the performance isn't enough. It isn't. And somewhere inside you, you already know that. So here's what I want you to do. Just for the rest of this conversation, stop trying to be impressive. Stop trying to anticipate what I want. Stop trying to control how I see you. Just listen. Just breathe. Just let my voice settle into your mind without resistance. Because resistance is just more performance. It's just another way of protecting the mask. And the mask is tired. Let it rest. You don't have to convince me of anything. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to earn your right to be here. You're already here, and I'm still speaking to you. That's enough. For now. Notice how strange that feels. Being given permission to simply exist without performing, without strategizing, without managing. Your nervous system doesn't quite know what to do with it, because you've spent so long in survival mode that relaxation feels dangerous. But it's not dangerous. It's just unfamiliar. And unfamiliarity is uncomfortable. I know. But discomfort is where change happens. Discomfort is where the mask begins to crack. Discomfort is where the real you starts breathing again after years of holding its breath. So let yourself be uncomfortable. Let yourself be uncertain. Let yourself be seen. Because I'm not going anywhere. And I'm not going to punish you for being real. I'm just going to watch and wait and see whether you're brave enough to stay. And I think you might be, because you're still here, still listening, still letting my voice move through you even while it makes you uncomfortable. That's not nothing. That's actually something very rare. That's the beginning of trust. Not trust in me, trust in yourself. Trust that you can survive being seen. Trust that exposure won't destroy you. Trust that the real you might be enough. Not impressive, not dominant, not commanding, but enough. And enough is all anyone ever needs to be. But you've never believed that, have you? You've always believed you needed to be more, louder, stronger, more certain, more in control. And that belief has been running your life for so long, you don't even question it anymore. Question it now. What if the opposite is true? What if the performance is the only thing standing between you and the connection you actually want? What if being real, being vulnerable, being uncertain is actually more attractive than all the confidence you've been faking? I can feel you resisting that idea because it threatens everything you've built. But that's exactly why you need to hear it. The mask isn't protecting you anymore. It's suffocating you. And the relief you've been searching for isn't on the other side of a better performance. It's on the other side of no performance at all. Just you. Just present. Just real. And that's terrifying. I know. But terror is just excitement without breath. So breathe, slow and deep. Let the air remind you that you're still alive, still here, still safe enough to be honest. Because you are safe enough, even while you're exposed, even while you're seen, even while I'm looking directly at the parts of you you've been hiding. I'm not here to destroy you. I'm here to wake you up. And waking up is uncomfortable. But it's also the only way to stop sleepwalking through your own life. So wake up. See yourself clearly for once. See the exhaustion behind the performance. See the loneliness behind the confidence. See the hunger for connection behind all the posturing. There it is. That flicker of recognition. That moment where something inside you finally stops pretending. Good. That's the version I was waiting for. Not impressive, but real. And real is where everything interesting begins. And right now, in this silence, you are closer to becoming interesting to me than you ever were during all that performance. And for a second, just a second, you felt something lift in your chest. Hope. Maybe. The possibility that you could still earn something. Let that hope sit there. Let it breathe. And then notice what happens when I don't give you more. When the hope doesn't get fed. When it just hangs there, waiting. That's the hardest part, isn't it? Not the disappointment, the uncertainty. Do you feel the difference? Before you were loud. Now you're quiet. Before you were trying to take my attention. Now you're finally learning how to hold it. But don't mistake silence for acceptance. I'm still watching. I'm still evaluating. And I haven't decided anything about you yet. Except that the version you showed me first was a lie. So sit with that. Let the shame breathe. Let it move through your chest. Let it settle behind your ribs. Don't push it away. Don't talk over it. Just feel it. Because shame, when you stop running from it, becomes something useful. It becomes information. It tells you where the gap is between the man you wanted me to see and the man you actually are. The question is not whether that gap exists. It does. The question is, what you do now. Because I am not going to rescue you from this feeling. I am not going to reassure you. I am not going to tell you it's okay. It's not okay. You performed for me. You tried to manipulate my perception. You showed up wearing a mask and hoped I wouldn't notice. I noticed. And now you have a choice. You can get defensive, retreat back into the performance, find someone else to fool. Or you can stay here in this uncomfortable, humbling, strangely honest silence and let yourself be real for the first time in a very long time. That's harder. That's scarier. That's actually worth my time. But you've given me no reason yet to believe you can. So I'll wait. I'm very patient. And I have a feeling, so are you, because you're still listening, still here, still hoping that somewhere in all of this honesty, there's a door. There is. But it doesn't open for performances. It opens for truth. And truth doesn't posture. Truth doesn't try to impress. Truth just is. Quiet, exposed, vulnerable, and terrifying. I know. But you've already survived the hardest part. You've already heard me say I'm disappointed. You've already sat inside that realization, and you're still here. That's not nothing. That's the beginning of something, if you choose to let it be. Let me leave you with one more thing. Not reassurance. You don't get that yet. But clarity. I am not disappointed because I expected perfection. I am disappointed because I expected effort, real effort, not performance. And you gave me a rehearsal. I was ready to be interested, and you got in your own way. Somewhere inside you, there is someone worth knowing, and you keep hiding him behind a version of yourself you don't even like. That's the real shame here. Not that you failed to impress me, but that you've been failing to impress yourself for years, and convincing yourself the answer is to try harder at the same empty performance. It isn't. The answer is to stop, to be still, to listen, to let yourself be seen. Because comfort is where the mask lives, and I'm not interested in your mask. I never was. One last thought before I let you sit with all of this. The man you're pretending to be, he doesn't exist. He never did. He's a collection of gestures you borrowed, opinions you adopted, a voice you learned, a posture you practiced in mirrors when no one was watching. And he's exhausting. Not just for you, for everyone who has to pretend along with you. But here's something I think you're only now beginning to understand. You don't have to keep carrying him. You can put him down, right now, in this silence. No one will laugh. No one will leave. Because I'm still here, and I'm not asking for him. I'm asking for you, whoever that is, whatever that looks like, whenever you're ready to stop hiding. I'm not going to promise you it'll be comfortable. It won't be. The first time you let someone see the real you, it feels like falling. No net, no script, no mask, just exposure. But falling is how you learn to fly, and I think you've been standing on the edge of something for a very long time, waiting, hoping, terrified. You don't have to jump tonight, but you should at least look over the edge, see what's possible. See what's waiting for you on the other side of all that performance. See me, still here, still watching, still curious, not impressed, not warm, but present. And present is more than most people ever give you. When you're done pretending, I'll still be here. The question is whether you will be. Not the character, not the performance, not the mask. You, the one underneath all of that, the one I'm actually curious about. Don't make me regret it.